Monday morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
Pyongyang Central News Agency confirms that North Korea's Workers' Party has released Jang Song-taek from all duties and stripped of all titles, calling him a traitor who committed crimes against the state.
For the first time in 62 years, Korea's air defense zone has been redrawn. More coming up in the headlines.
And upgrades are on the way for some of Seoul's best high-end department stores. We'll tell you why on In Print. 2 giant mythical fish were caught off the coast of the southern city of Busan. And there are other stories on hot clicks as well, so stay tuned.
It is considered one of the most beautiful libraries in the world. The Stuttgart City Library was designed by Yi Eun-young. We'll sit down with the Korean architect to find out what inspires him. 'Tis the season of giving, and this year you can give and love in more ways than one. People are donating not only their money and blood, but also hair. Find out more on this Monday, December 9th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Thank you for tuning in. The world is mourning the death of former South African President Nelson Mandela. Dignitaries from around the world are arriving in Johannesburg to pay their respects, and representing the Korean delegation will be Korean Prime Minister Chung Won.
That's right. As you mentioned, heads of state and governments from 53 nations have so far confirmed their attendance, including UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, U.S. President Barack Obama. An estimated 80,000 people are also expected to attend the memorial service to be held on Tuesday in the Soweto Sports Stadium in Johannesburg, which hosted the 2010 World Cup final. Mandela's burial will be on December 15th in Kunu. That's the rural village where he grew up and spent his childhood days.
It looks like the world will continue to mourn the death of Nelson Mandela, but I'm sure his legacy and he will live on in many people's minds as an icon, a father, and a hero.
That's right. The man who changed the world.
That's right. We'll turn to Na Young-kyung for a check of other stories we're following at this hour.
It is official. Jang Song-taek, the uncle of North Korea's young leader Kim Jong-un, is now confirmed to have been dismissed from all of his posts. Pyongyang state-run news agency KCNA says the political bureau of North Korea's ruling Workers' Party Central Committee has decided to expel Jang and his aides. The agency reports the bureau concluded Jang and his confidants have conducted anti-party and anti-state activities hindering national unity. It adds Jang had pretended to support the young leader Kim, but tried to challenge the leadership behind his back. Korea revised its air defense identification zone to include its southernmost islands of Marado and Hongdo, as well as Yeodo, a submerged reef laying on Seoul and Beijing's overlapping exclusive economic zones. Defense Ministry officials say these changes were notified and explained to related countries such as the U.S., China, and Japan before the announcement on Sunday.
The reactions might differ slightly, but in general, other related countries were mostly on the same page with Korea in the sense that the revision was not extreme and that it was in accordance with international regulations.
The new air defense zone is scheduled to take effect starting December 15th. In response, Washington says it appreciates Seoul's efforts to implement this in an internationally acceptable manner. China and Japan have not given an immediate response. This is the first time in more than 60 years that the country's air defense zone was redrawn. It follows China's unilateral declaration of its air defense zone last month, raising tensions in Northeast Asia. Korea's railway union members are scheduled to stage an indefinite walkout starting in about 2 hours on this Monday morning. The union has been strongly opposing the Transport Ministry and the state-run Korail's plan to form a subsidiary to manage new KTX routes departing from southern Seoul. Labor workers argue the government's move will eventually lead to the privatization of Korail. The negotiations between union workers and management lasted well well into Sunday night to fail to find middle ground. But railway officials say morning commuters in Seoul and the metropolitan area should not be affected, as KTX trains and the subway lines will operate normally. Once the strike begins, operations of regular train services such as Haemaeul and Mugunghwa will drop to 60%, and freighter train services will drop to about 36%. An opposition Democratic Party lawmaker for the first time has officially denied the results from last year's presidential election. First-time lawmaker Chang Han-na calls on President Park Geun-hye to resign, saying last year's race was rigged. She suggests holding a presidential election again in June when provincial elections are set to take place. The ruling party strongly condemns her remarks, and even her own party is not supporting her.
Those are Representative Chang Han-na's personal remarks. It is unfortunate a party member has made public her stance that differs from the party's official position.
The DP has been questioning whether the nation's intelligence agency had meddled in last year's presidential election but had never officially denied the results. The DP leadership has stopped Chang's office from further releasing this statement and is said to be examining possible punitive measures.
And good morning, everyone. It's time for a look through your Monday papers now. Treated highly this morning is Korea's new air defense zone, formally announced by the government yesterday after much consideration, and treated highly and on Joseon as well. Its headline reads, Korea's air defense identification zone normalized after 62 years. And the paper explains the word normalized there, given that this is the first revision of the KADI's in 62 years. It was drawn up by the United States in 1951, that's during the Korean War, to stave off attacks from the Chinese military. And as you heard in the headlines, the newly drawn lines indicated in bold orange there will include the Hongdo and Marado Islands and stretch out to Iodo, the submerged reef that's part of China's and Japan's air defense zones as well, marked in white and black respectively. The revision will be effective starting this upcoming Sunday, the 15th. All right, we'll take a look at a couple more headlines on the revised KADIs. Now, 동아일보's headline on the story reads, in quotes, keep your eyes off the skies over Iodo. And the article adds that the new zone will extend 250 kilometers south of Iodo to remain consistent with Korea's flight information region, airspace set by the International Civil Aviation Organization. And other factors considered were Seoul's military air operations and bilateral relations, according to the Defense Ministry. And over at Gyeongyang Shinmun, its main headline this Monday morning reads, new phase with rearranged air defense zone, though not without potential for contention. The article adding that potential for contention remains despite the fact that Seoul did offer a heads up and plenty of explanation of its revision to neighboring countries. We'll leave that story there for now. Before we move on, it was a beautiful comeback for Korea's Queen of the Ice, Kim Yeon-ah, proudly displayed there on the front page, who skated to glory at a weekend event in Croatia. Do stay tuned for our sports guy SJ Lee, who will have the details and the highlights of Kim Yeon-ah's first event since her right foot injury. Scooting over to 중앙일보 now, its front page image is eye-catching there, and the corresponding title notes that this is the same place, just different times of the year. West Lake in Hangzhou Province, China, December 8th and April 2nd. December 8th there, April 2nd there, and it looks like even China's UNESCO World Heritage Site, the West Lake, was not immune from its thick smog that blanketed over that beautiful view. All right, and we'll wrap things up with a look at Mail Business newspaper. Its main headline reads, Gangnam department stores engage in retail war. The sub-headline indicating that Korea's major department store brands are placing their bets on the rich in the midst of contracting spending from the middle class, doubled up against the government regulations of the so-called supermarkets. In that vein, brands such as Hyundai, Lotte, and Shinsegae all have plans or are in the midst of adopting plans to upgrade their department store facilities to attract high-end customers with a penchant for luxury items. Hyundai department store unveiled its upgraded COEX facility in August. Lotte Avenue L will open its Chamsu facility in May, and Shinsegae and Galleria both have plans to renovate their facilities sometime next year. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Monday. Next up are your closing numbers from Friday's market action.
We're expecting rain or snow in most parts of Korea today.
That's right. We'll take it over to Dami, who's joining us, and she has the weather report and the forecast for today. Dami, good morning to you.
It's so dark outside now.
Dark and cold, it seems.
Morning.
10 p.m., not 7 a.m.
Happy Monday morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Goyang, Gyeonggi-do. Now you can really tell that winter is here because the mornings are pitch black right now, and it is currently raining here in the central regions, but it will quickly spread into nationwide showers. Later in the day, the rain will turn into snow in some parts of Korea. Conditions are expected to clear up by the evening. However, tomorrow morning, it looks like our lows are going to plummet into the negatives. Currently, right now, it is a bit warm, about 5.1 degrees Celsius. Now, you should keep in mind that later in the week, around Wednesday, we are going to receive another round of showers or snow. And once that clears out, then our conditions are going to plummet even more and become even more cold, bringing some very sharp and gusty winds. And by Friday, we're expecting the coldest day of the month so far. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather for today. Seoul's highs will reach only up to 6, Daejeon and Gangneung at 9, Gwangju at 10, Busan and Jeju at 15 and 16 degrees. As for the level of fine dust, according to the National Institute of Environmental Research, the levels will drop because of the rain clearing the air. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in the latter half.
This year marks the 130th anniversary of diplomatic ties between Korea and Germany, and also the 50th anniversary of the migration of Korean miners and nurses to Germany. And last week, an international symposium was held in Seoul at the German Cultural Institute that invited participants to come and share their views on immigration and multicultural societies.
And these invitees, they range from scholars who are studying foreign migration to photographers, film directors, and much more. People from various backgrounds came to talk about this. Everyone had experience with foreign migration and integrating into a multicultural society and actually had a lot to say. So we'll find out more in this next report.
The Goethe Institute, or German Cultural Institute, held an international symposium under the title From Silent Migration to a Multicultural Society. The place was crowded with Korean nurses and miners who migrated to Germany during the 60s and 70s. After retirement, many have returned to Korea. The word silent used in the title of the symposium has a special meaning.
Well, the Korean working migration of nurses and miners to Germany has been called the silent migration. Silent has a couple of meanings. The most important probably is that the migration and the adaptation and integration process of this migration was extremely successful. So successful that it was not even realized in the societies. At the same time, one could pose the questions, was it too silent? And do we need to hear more about it? And we're trying to answer both those questions.
In the 1960s, the Korean government was in need of foreign capital as it was planning to develop an export-oriented light industry. And as the former farming industry was rapidly deteriorating in Korea, many young, able people were in search of work. Right then, Germany, where workers were urgently needed, offered Korea a way out by recruiting many young Koreans for their labor and skills.
We had the opportunity to go to Germany and we were young, so we just went there without really planning things out.
Koreans successfully adapted to German society, and many say their children have achieved higher social statuses compared to other ethnic minority groups. But many second-generation Koreans in Germany do not fully agree with this view.
I believe that the German society looks at Koreanness as being the model minority in Germany because they are silent and invisible in society. It's important to be loud, to speak up. We are living in Germany and we have to demand our rights, our human rights as well. And we can't keep our mouths shut, be silent, be invisible. No, we gotta be visible, we gotta be loud.
These second-generation Korean descendants speak the language perfectly, have earned higher educational degrees, and have German citizenship, but feel conflicted about their identity because of their appearance. The Goethe Institute commissioned the documentary Double Heartbeat to show the internal cultural conflict of young second-generation Korean Germans. Are they German or are they Korean?
I think it's very interesting to have the second generation as a portrait because we are the new generation who is also trying to make a statement about the older generation and also trying to find our own place in the German society.
As many are immigrating to Korea, this international symposium provided the opportunity to discuss what social transformations and change in attitude is needed for continued integration and coexistence. A photo exhibition showing the lives of Korean miners and nurses in Germany through the eyes of a German photographer can be viewed until December 18th at the German Cultural Institute in Seoul.
As one of the participants mentioned today, the Korean community in Germany is considered a textbook example of a successful integration. But to hear that the second-generation Korean Germans are suffering from a bit of self-identity crisis and just questions, and they're addressing it and they're speaking up, and that's an important thing to do.
Right, exactly. And I'm stating the obvious here, but I mean, when two societies with very different backgrounds try to merge and combine, of course there's going to be conflicts and noise, but at least this symposium seems to be a good an example, opportunity to learn how the Korean migration workers were able to really settle in the German society.
Well, the fact is that in a multicultural society, it's usually the immigrants that have a harder time settling in to a new society there. So learning from some of the precedents set by our Korean nationals going overseas, since Korea is becoming a multicultural society in Seoul as well as other parts itself, it's important to take these precedents and learn from the past of others.
Okay, that was an important symposium there. Okay, all right. Well, still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to meet a Korean architect by the name of Yi Eun-young. He is the mastermind behind the Stuttgart City Library, selected as one of the most beautiful libraries in the world. He emphasizes social responsibility more than design when creating buildings. We'll sit down with him later on Korea Today.
That does look like a beautiful library. I thought it was a little miniature, but no. Wow.
It's a full-size library.
That's right.
We're going to find out more later.
That's an architectural masterpiece, and we will check on that. Now, going back to last August, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Arirang TV jointly co-hosted a competition, a video contest for people to make a video about their favorite Korean friend or their favorite Korean food.
And we received many interesting and talented artworks and works, and some were touching and some were entertaining, and we'll find out some of the winning pieces in this report.
Co-sponsored by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Arirang TV, a video contest for foreigners about Korea was held for the second consecutive year.
Through this, we can expect that more people like Korea, and the more people come to Korea, and the more people buy their Korean products. This is the one that we want to describe the Korea. We want to introduce Korea to the foreigners and the foreign countries.
Many took part in the competition. 464 videos were submitted from 85 different countries, and over 100 videos received participation awards, not to mention the grand prize winner.
We selected videos based on how well the participants expressed their thoughts, as well as originality and creativity. Because it's also a form of art, we also based our decision on the editing techniques and how well it was put together.
Stories about the participants' Korean friends or favorite Korean foods were shown in creative ways.
Do you know these foods?
Korea?
There were as many videos about Korean foods as there were about Korean friends. From tteokbokki, kimbap, samgyeopsal, budae-jjigae, and more. There were many amusing and well-made videos.
Hi, my name is Kit, and this is Chef Sang.
Among the hundreds of videos, the silver prize went to a video about pajan by Wesley Chang from Guatemala and Keat Minu from Malaysia. These two friends currently live and reside in Korea and are in love with Korean food.
Back home, I had a lot of Korean friends. In Guatemala, there's a Korean community there, and I got to know them. We'd go to restaurants. The first time I went to a Korean restaurant, I had chukumi, and it was so new and so flavorful that I really wanted to hang out with them and eat their food and try it out. So I got to know it.
I think we want to try bulgogi, but try to fuse it with other style, to put it a new fusion kind of food in bulgogi.
A video entry with sophisticated cinematography about friendship won the gold prize. Lucas and Yerin first met as a professional photographer and model. As professionals, this couple captured their story and popular Korean attractions in this beautiful piece, which is expressed through a music video. And finally, for the grand prize, the top honor for this year's video contest went to Ekrem Ates from Turkey.
My grandfather participated in Korean War, so I just want to know the culture better, and I just want to learn the language better, of course, Korean. And in the future, I want to be here for my major advertising.
저는 할아버지 묘로 방문하고 할아버지께서 돌아가신 대한민국이라는 나라에 꼭 한번 가서 그 나라 사람들과 소통하며 한국의 문화를 배워보길 간절히 바랬었습니다.
It's a story about how he met a Korean pen pal friend online by chance who sent him an airplane ticket and helped him visit various places in Korea, as well as the UN Memorial Cemetery in Busan, where the two mourned Ekrem's grandfather, who fought and was killed in the Korean War.
지은이와 그 가족들은 그동안 누구도 도와주지 못했던 제 꿈을 실현시켜줬습니다. 지은이는 단지 제 베스트 한국인 친구가 아닙니다. 지은이는 세상에서 가장 소중한 제 친구입니다.
There were also touching videos, including some about Korean sponsors who provided help for those in other countries. This is a video from Sri Lanka, and it's a message of appreciation to a Korean teacher who gives hope and dreams to children living in destitute environments.
저도 여러분들을 사랑해요.
Here's a heartwarming story all the way from Uganda. Isaiah Masiga had to give up his studies due to poverty, but he tells a genuine and emotional story about how his life changed after meeting a Korean sponsor.
I wanted to show my feeling about this lady, and I will always be very grateful for what she did. The truth is, I was nothing before, and I'm now something. I look so presentable because she put in the little she had. She's kind of a hero who has been going unnoticed for a long time, and I feel to me she's a hero.
A video contest full of fun and touching elements. There are already plans for next year's competition, and there's much anticipation about what special tales will be submitted in the future. And still ahead on Korea Today, with the cold weather, it's time when people look out for their neighbors and those in need. But sharing doesn't stop at cash donations and kettle drives. There are more unique ways of giving, including sharing your voice and hair with others.
Sharing your hair.
Sharing your hair.
And blood.
And blood, I understand.
Yeah,
but hair is something
like
else. We'll
you
find
connect
out.
the two, or
That's right. We'll find out more later on our show. But earlier this year, CNN did a story on 7 of the world's most beautiful libraries. And among the list was the Stuttgart City Library. And the architect of this very library was a Korean architect by the name of Yi Eun-young.
That's right. Yi Eun-young said his inspiration was the ancient Greek pantheons when designing and coming up with the design for this library. He lived and worked in Germany and found actually won several architectural competitions earlier on, and then he came out and designed the very first building as a Korean. So he was the very first architect to design a public building in Germany. So we'll take a look at Yi Eun-young and his accomplishments.
In Stuttgart, Germany, there's a special library with Hangul engravings. To represent the different world cultures, the architect engraved the word library in 4 languages on the outside walls. Representing the Eastern language is his native language, Korean. Yi Eun-young was a no-name architect who made his debut in 1999 for his design of a new central public library in Stuttgart.
In the past, it was usually a church or a palace that formed the center of a town. But in the modern society, places suitable for the individual deepening of knowledge have moved to the center stage. I wanted to regain a new center in this city. The design is based on the idea of making Stuttgart City Library a new intellectual and cultural center. To do justice to this aspiration in terms of urban planning, it was proposed that the library building assume a special position within the block structure. A freestanding monolithic building which towers above the neighboring urban structure. With this idea, I could win the first awards from the 234 entries in the Europe Open competition in the year 1999.
30 years ago, the Korean architect started to question the random, unorganized development projects in Korea. And to find answers to his question, he left for Germany, the leader of modern architecture in Europe, to broaden his knowledge on architecture.
Main aim was only to get the answer to the question which I brought from Korea. What is the space which maintains the general values of the time, of our time? And what is the language of the modern architecture which could be still valuable in the future? That was really great challenges so that I could not think about any other things. I wanted to get a solution out of our whole cultural background, not only from our tradition, but also as a part of the global world. And I decided to learn European architecture at first, which influenced the modern cities all over the world.
The city of Stuttgart's reputation changed when a quiet and calm library was built in the middle of a bustling commercial city. He says this is when he realized that architecture is not just a simple piece of artwork, but an entity that embraces the lives of a city.
A city is determined to a certain extent by its physical dimensions and topographies. But what really shapes a city goes far beyond that. What kind of spatial experiences one can have, what kind of spiritual values we transfer into it, what kind of charisma a city should have. That is the decisive point. Of course, it is very difficult to translate the spiritual values into material or to define it architecturally, but it should be done. We cannot escape from our duty.
His works have been praised by judges as a fantastic work of modernized classic architecture. Now he's preparing to realize another one of his competition-winning designs in hopes of building another structure that will withstand the test of time.
In the Europe Open competition for the new parliament of Lower Saxony in Hanover, I won the first awards in the year 2010. The new parliament building is defined as a pavilion on the shore. To complete the neoclassic building complex of Laves from the 19th century. This building typology is partly derived from the building types like Parthenon in Athens and Gyeonghae-ru in Seoul. The roof and pillars are reduced so that they together form an abstract box. The pavilion is the abstraction of a fundamental architectural feature of every culture and era. It has neither a fixed link to space nor in time. With this project, we are now on the early phase of planning.
Yi says the point of architecture is not design, but responsibility. He says he would like to leave a message to beginning architects that an architect must design from the viewpoint of ordinary citizens and be true to the purpose of the structure.
For me, the best task for an architect is to help people to recognize their inner values. There's a lot of, but as an architect, we cannot solve the social problems directly. Many architects believe it, but I don't believe it. We can only help people to confront the social problems on a cultural level, or we can handle social problems as a cultural solution to the next generations. The most important task of an architect is to recognize the myth of the time and to transform it into matter and to pass on its spiritual value to the next generations. That is the only thing that interests me, and that is what matters.
Now, Yi Eun-young, you can obviously see the passion and also the inspiration that he wants to send out to others out there. You might find this a little bit hard to believe, but Yi Eun-young, he says that while he was studying in Germany, he was working so hard on his graduation project that he actually missed the reunification of Germany and did not see it. Just went all happened right under his nose.
You mean
so
he didn't know
He
that,
didn't know
that it
about it.
happened?
Oh,
That's exactly. It's very hard to believe,
He read it in the newspapers many months later, maybe.
So basically, he's saying to all the students of architecture out there that if you're going to be working on a project, just put your all and really focus on it.
And every time he visits Korea, he makes a point to visit the Jongmyo Shrine in Jongno-gu, Seoul, and he says this place of worship for kings and queens from the Joseon Dynasty inspires him for its well-preserved architecture, and from these old structures, he gets the value of classical designs, and he implements those inspirations to his modern architectural design.
And I heard that he said something interesting about Seoul, the layout and the design, that Seoul boasts 600 years of history, but it really doesn't do justice in a way that the rapid changes and developments in city construction really overshadow those history and culture. So maybe from now on, perhaps Seoul should pay more attention on the future development projects so that it really does reflect well the rich culture and history Seoul City has.
Seoul is a beautiful city.
It is.
That's right. A lot to be inspired about, and also an inspirational architect.
But keep tuning into the news from time to time.
Once in a while.
Future
That's
architects out there.
You can't let these historical events go right under your nose and forget about it, right?
All right, we'll turn to Chun Sung-cho for a check of stories we're following on Hot Clicks.
Good morning, I'm Chun Sung-cho and welcome to Hot Clicks. Let's go ahead and jump right into our first story of the day. So here it is. For a long time, Korean children have enjoyed playing the traditional game of 딱지치기, and I have brought some 딱jis to show you for you guys. A 딱지 here, as you can see, are just paper discs that are made by folding papers. And with these 딱지 discs, you try to flip over other 딱jis on the ground by slamming down your 딱지. Well, I have a video related to this to show you that has generated a lot of chatter among internet users. Well, this is the winning film for Incheon's 2013 elementary school film contest titled King of Dakji. This movie shows a story following a boy who is dubbed as the King of Dakji. He's the top dog at school and has won every dakjichigi challenger. His dakjichigi skill makes him an idol among his peers, but his arrogance is tested when a new transfer student puts a stop to his undefeated record. The film ends with a moral life lesson about arrogance. What a cute story. Although they did receive help from teachers, Korean online communities are praising that the film is very well put together considering they're only elementary school students, and their acting especially. I have to give them a big thumbs up. Last Wednesday, Time magazine announced its top 10 viral videos and top 10 songs of the year. It created waves across the internet in Korea as we see a couple of familiar names on the list. The viral video category is made up of videos that were quickly spread and shared through various social media platforms. And it's no surprise that Psy's Gentleman music video was picked as the top viral video of the year, as it currently has about 6 billion views on YouTube. And also Girls' Generation's I Got a Boy ranked 5th in the top 10 songs of the year category. Time magazine wrote, quote, Girls' Generation is a ridiculously effective hook machine and a major phenomenon in Asia, whose biggest pop acts make One Direction and Katy Perry sound like audience-alienating avant-gardists. Well, Psy and Girls' Generation were the only Asian singers to make it on the list, so you see what an impact these K-pop artists have even on the global stage. Well, staying on K-pop, Taeyang from the Hallyu boy band Big Bang recently came out with his new single, Ringa Linga. Have you seen his music video? His dance moves are mind-blowing. And because of that, if you search his music video online, you see an endless list of its cover dances. And among those, there is a special one that is nothing like you've seen before. Big Bang's management company YG Entertainment posted this dance cover on its official blog last Wednesday. As you can see, they have added a taekwondo twist to the dance moves, and it's just amazing. Look at those kicks and flips. This video has garnered more than 800,000 views on YouTube so far within just 4 days. And here you even see taekwondo girl Temi, who became famous last August for her acrobatic baseball pitch. What makes them stand out is that it's not just about replicating Taeyang's dance moves and the music video exactly, but also adding their own color to it. Many web users are saying they're impressed not only with its high quality, but especially with the use of taekwondo. It's December, and that time of the year, finally, when you see companies making their own calendars to give out to their clients or employees. These pictures were put on the calendars made by a fried chicken franchise, and it's getting a lot of views online. Well, at first glance, they look just like famous Korean traditional paintings depicting daily lives of people during the Joseon Dynasty. Then you would start having trouble making correlations between fried chicken and these paintings. But you'll see what's different about these if you look closely enough. Well, you can see people in the pictures are actually eating fried chicken, when in reality, people didn't eat fried chicken until much later. And what a way to display a sense of humor and to advertise the product at the same time, right? Korean web users are saying they're already curious to see what other unique and interesting calendars other companies are going to come up with next. Well, let's move on to our last story of the day. I'm going to show you some fish that were caught off the coast of the southern city of Busan. But be prepared because it's no ordinary fish. Terrifyingly humongous fish from the deep waters called the Goliath grouper. The footage of these fish has gone viral online, and even merchants who have worked several decades at the fish market were all surprised at the gigantic size of these creatures. One of them measured at 1.6 meters in length and weighed 150 kilograms. The giant groupers live 400 meters below sea level, but during breeding season, which is from May to July, they come out of their usual habitat and move to areas only 60 to 70 meters below sea level.
Whoa.
What's puzzling is that right now is not even their breeding season, so it's very surprising news that these were caught just in front of Taejongdae by a small fishing boat. Because they live in such deep waters, it's usually hard to catch more than 10 a year.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's surprising,
Wow.
right? They're humongous. And these Goliath groupers were auctioned off at more than $5,000 to an owner of a raw fish restaurant in Busan. Well, this is all I have for you today on Hot Clicks, and I'll see you guys next Monday.
Wow, those are just
Huge,
Humongous.
humongous. Yeah.
I think they're more mind-blowing than Taeyang's dance moves.
All right, let's check back in with our Dami, who is joining us from a sports park.
All right, so from one big fish in the sea to the big fish of KT. We'll take it over to Dami.
Oh, thank you, Young. I'm back reporting live from Goyang Gyeonggi-do at the Chungjang Sports Park. Now, despite the cold weather these days, there are many members of a soccer club here this morning out on the field. Now, the name of this soccer club is Good Morning Soccer. The members meet up every morning at 7 a.m., play soccer for 2 hours straight. Now, the club itself has been around for 7 years already, so I am amongst experts. But if you are a beginner and you want to join the club yourself, then not to worry because they always welcome beginners as they're willing to teach the basic skills of soccer to anyone who joins the club. Now, soccer is a very, one of the most popular sports here in Korea. Just 2 days ago, many have anticipated the 2014 Brazil World Cup drawings, which took place on Saturday. A lot of people are saying that the results are quite positive as Korea was drawn into Group H, which consists of Algeria, Belgium, and Russia. So a lot of people are saying that Korea is going to make it into the top 16 without any difficulty. Now, since we are here with the members this morning, I heard that they have quite a couple of tricks up their sleeves. So let's go ahead and check them out. 네, 안녕하세요. 네, good morning. 네, 그러면 개인기를 한번 보여줄 수 있을까요? 네. Okay, so let's go ahead and check them out. Wow. Oh, okay. All right. Woo, without touching the ground. Wow, how is that? 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's like more than 10. All right, so, 네, 감사합니다. All right, so since I'm out here on the field, I'm gonna go ahead and try and put in a goal myself. Now, do keep in mind that I am not a very good soccer player, so hopefully this will work out well. Okay, 그러면 네, 축구공을 한번 빌려줄 수 있을까요? 네, 너무 멀리서 아니고 그냥 여기 가까운 네, 이 정도에서 Okay, so there I go. Hopefully I'll make it. All right, so Korea today, fighting! Oh man! Okay, the goalkeeper totally blocked my goal, my ball. Anyways, Hopefully, with these positive vibes, and I love the atmosphere here amongst the members here at the Good Morning Soccer. Hopefully, this positive atmosphere will somehow make its way to the national Korea team, and wish them good luck for the 2014 Brazil World Cup. That's all I have for now. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
Now, a lot of weekend sports leagues here in the nation, with football and baseball being the majority, but of course, golf has always been another popular weekend sport. Speaking of which, the KLPGA kicked off their new season at the Swinging Skirts World Ladies Masters in Taiwan. Well, the event was packed with some of the top names in women's golf. It was a 16-year-old who claimed the trophy in the end. Just 47 days since turning pro, 16-year-old Lydia Ko dominates all 3 rounds of the event as she finishes with 11 under par overall to claim her first title as a pro. Ko, despite playing against some of the top players like Park In-bi, Joseon and Yanni Sang, never looked nervous on the course as she claims the first of the many trophies she'll win in the future. And over to Berlin, where the 4th round of the Speed Skating World Cup took place. Now, with Lee Sang-hwa sweeping all the gold medals over on the women's side, Mo Tae-bum finally got a taste of the gold medal finish as he finished first in the 500-meter event, coming in at a time of 34.87 seconds. Now, it's his 2nd gold medal event at the World Cup this season and a first in the 500-meter event. Of course, moving on, we're going to go on to some Sunday's KBL action as the Goyang Orions pulls off an upset win over the Ulsan Mobis Phoebus 84-74, with the Seoul Samsung Thunders beating the struggling Wonju Dongbu Promi 88-85. You want to take a look at the Seoul SK Knights take on the Changwon LG Sakers. Now, going into the game, first quarter of the game, SK off to a nice start, taking 18-15 lead before Aaron Haynes' 10 points in the first half helped them take a comfortable 37-32 lead going into halftime. Both teams neck and neck in the 3rd quarter of the game, but here come the LG Sakers, absolutely dominating SK in the paint, outscores them 19-7 in the 4th quarter as they rally back to take this game 69-62. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day. And now I leave you with the gala performance by Kim Yeon-ah during the Golden Spin of Zagreb. Enjoy.
And the season of giving has returned, but it's not just about giving donations. There's much more to it. Audrey Young joins us with more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, one way to show the community that you really care is by sharing and giving. And there are many ways one can participate. So I went to visit some people who are spending a warm holiday season. Have a look. The season of giving is in full swing and many are joining efforts to help those in need. There are many people that are donating in unique ways, so I went to find out.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. The people gathered here are sharing something special this winter with these dolls.
By making or purchasing these dolls, you can help provide vaccinations for children in need. So these dolls help save lives.
Awu means younger sibling in Korean, and these dolls represent all children around the world.
아우 인형을 왜 만들게 되었나요?
I really like the name Ao doll. Because of the meaning in its name, I really feel that this doll is a younger sibling, and I'm also able to help children in less developed countries. The more dolls I make, the more meaningful and happy my life becomes.
For those who want to participate in the Awu doll campaign, All you need to do is purchase a doll for about $28 through the official UNICEF website. I love the fact that I can make something and I could feel that I'm actually saving someone. And at the same time, when this gets sold, the other person who does buy and purchase this doll is also part of the process of saving someone. And so we're all involved in a great cause.
It'd be a great project to do with your kids too.
Really fun. So for 5 years, members of the UNICEF Youth Club have been making these Awu dolls around the holiday season. Giving was once considered to be done by special people in specific places, and collecting funds was mostly done by charity organizations. Those who wanted to participate could choose to volunteer in kimjang giving or cold briquette deliveries, but had to work with large groups of people. But recently, a new way of giving is gaining popularity. Individuals are encouraged to donate their skills or talents to society. There's also a new way you can give online, and all you need to do is write a comment to make a donation. Here in a beauty salon in Seoul, you can donate for charity by simply getting a haircut.
We are donating our clients' hair to make wigs for pediatric cancer patients.
Oh, that's what you meant, Young, when you said share hair.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's a good cause, of course.
So this hair donation is suggested to clients with long, healthy hair, and in these cases, their hair will be collected to be transformed into wigs.
I wanted to get a haircut for a change in mood, but after learning about hair donations, I'm happy to be donating for something meaningful.
We will donate this hair to a good cause.
So Hyun-young, once your hair grows long enough.
Yes, I shall.
Well, after gathering the client's hair, they are sent to the sponsoring wig manufacturing company that will send wigs to pediatric cancer patients. Through various social media platforms, word has spread about it, and over 15,000 people have already donated their hair. Now, this hair, which is usually thrown away, becomes a small but significant gift for pediatric cancer patients. I also visited a company that holds a special giving event at the end of the year.
저기 시간 됐다. 가자.
지금 어디 가시는 거세요?
따라오시면 알아요.
It's a mysterious guy.
Like, no questions, just follow, right?
Well, mystery solved here. Employees set their work aside and gather to give because it's that important.
Blood donation.
At the end of the year, all the employees at this company participate in donating blood. The company provides the chance for busy employees to take part in donating.
There are many places to donate blood, but it's actually hard to commit to it. Since a blood donation bus comes to my company, it's more convenient to give blood.
Donating blood at work was a really good experience.
This is a library for the visually impaired. These people are here to donate their voice talents by recording audiobooks for the visually impaired.
학교 동창은 같은 서울에 살아도 내내 안 만나다가 내가 서울에 들어온다는 것을 핑계 삼아 한 번씩 모이는 거라고 농담.
Unlike braille books, audiobooks consume less time, so they're very popular with the visually impaired.
When I read books in a happy voice, they will feel happy, and when I read it in a sad voice, they will feel the sadness. Regardless, they are trusting me with the storytelling, so donating my voice gives me a lot of pride. But most of all, I feel thankful for being able to do this.
With sharing, both givers and those at the receiving end can feel more joy. How about finding your own way of sharing and giving back to the community?
And you've brought some Awu dolls here in the studio.
Yes,
which is the one you made?
This actually is the one that I made. I'm not really sure if I'm proud to show this off, actually.
No, it looks pretty good, actually.
Oh, really?
So you buy the kit and you make the stall and you adopt the stall and the proceeds go to the charity.
Basically, this is obviously, we know, it's to help less developed countries. And because the name Awu means younger sibling, so like you said, we're using the word adoption instead of purchasing and buying. And so what we do is we can adopt or we can even purchase these materials straight and directly from the UNICEF website.
Okay, and it goes to, the proceeds go to benefit the lesser
children
privileged, right?
And you can name the doll and then give the date of birth and nationality. This
I want to
name is Audrey Jr.
Apparently because she
How
has short
sweet is
hair,
that,
so
right?
I mean, this is one way of donating, but I usually do donate my clothes. We have like this huge basket in my community, but I never know where the clothes go to. So you told me about this site that actually handles and shows you exactly how the clothes are being donated, right?
Only thing is, this site that I was telling you about kind of only works for children's clothes.
Oh, okay. So I would have to go back 10 years and
some small clothes.
That, or if you have nieces or nephews that outgrow clothes, because children generally outgrow clothes pretty fast, as Young and Minjong would know. And so what you do is you can log into this site. It's called Kipple, and you donate your clothes. You have them folded and washed, and you send them through to this site, and you can actually exchange them for larger fitting clothes, or you can receive points, and you can use these points to purchase new clothes that are available on that website.
Okay, kids outgrow their clothes so quickly. It's so good that a service like this exists.
Yeah, and this is not just for underprivileged or it's just for anybody in general, so you don't waste.
Well, thank you for the owl doll.
Well, and also we can read English books for these kids who might need English books, like giving back our talent.
There's a lot of different ways to donate. It's not just money, so we really have no excuse. Donate talent or whatever it is that you can. Thank you very much.
Audrey, for that story.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap for today's show. Please tune in again, same time tomorrow.
Have a great Monday, and do your part for charity. All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Bye-bye.
Wow, that's cute. What you did.